They say the bedroom is where we rest, but if you've been waking up tired, feeling stuck, or quietly anxious about things you can't quite name, then something deeper may be unfolding, and it starts right where you sleep. You see, exhaustion isn't always about a lack of sleep. Sometimes it's an energetic signal, a message from the environment you spend 1/3 of your life in, the place where your body lies still, but your spirit processes everything it's been holding. And while we've been taught to upgrade our pillows, darken our curtains, or switch off our screens, few of us ever pause to ask, what is the energy of this space doing to me? In Feng Shui, the bedroom is not just a private zone. It's a mirror of your inner world. It holds the vibration of your thoughts, your fears, your love life, your self-worth, and yes, your money. It's where chi, or life force, meets you when you are most unguarded. While you dream, it whispers messages into your subconscious. And those messages, whether heavy or healing, shape how you wake up the next day. So when your finances feel blocked, your mind overwhelmed, or your heart restless, don't just look outward. Look where you lie down. That pile of unopened mail beside your nightstand, it speaks of delay. That mirror facing your bed, it doubles your problems when you're trying to rest. That artwork above your headboard that you haven't really looked at in months, it still holds meaning even in silence. Nothing in your room is neutral. Everything speaks. And whether it supports you or drains you depends on whether you're aware of what you've allowed to stay. Today we're going to shift that, because transforming your bedroom isn't about buying new things. It's about realigning what already surrounds you with the version of you that you're becoming. This video isn't a quick fix or aesthetic tip. It's a recalibration of energy, yours in the space that holds you. And when the energy of your room begins to flow freely, your thoughts clear, your body heals more deeply, your decisions sharpen, your relationships soften, your finances begin to stabilize. Because the way you rest is the way you receive. We'll explore what's blocking your bedroom from supporting you and how to activate the energy of rest, clarity, and abundance through a few deeply rooted Feng Shui principles. From the position of your bed to the symbolism above your headboard, from the emotional residue in your nightstand to the way light enters your space in the early morning, every detail matters. And when those details begin to align, so do you. This is not a philosophy built on superstition. It's a practice grounded in thousands of years of observation of how humans flourish when their environment supports them. And more recently, modern neuroscience is catching up, showing that the quality of your space directly impacts your nervous system, your sleep cycles, your cognitive clarity, and your mood. So let's ask something brave. What if your bedroom is already telling the story of your stuckness? What if it's been echoing patterns you're ready to release? And what if by shifting a few things today, you could create the kind of space that doesn't just look good, but feels like a true reflection of your healed self? Because when your environment whispers you're safe, your body stops bracing. When it says you're worthy, your energy stops shrinking. And when it says you're ready, life starts responding. That's the deeper invitation of Feng Shui. Not control, not perfection, but resonance. And that's what this video offers you. A chance to create resonance between your space and your spirit. To bring clarity to what's been stuck. To clear what's been quietly sabotaging your rest, your wealth, and your energy. Not with effort, but with awareness. But before we dive in, I want to ask something small of you that means a lot to me. If this video speaks to you, if you feel a part of you waking up even now, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to New Day Mindfulness. We are so close to reaching 2,000 followers, and each action you take helps this channel grow so that I can continue sharing deeper, more transformational content with you and others who are quietly seeking. Not just information, but alignment, not just tips, but truth. Thank you for walking this path with me. Let's now open the door to your most sacred space and turn your bedroom into a sanctuary for rest, clarity, and quiet abundance. The bed. Position of power. When you walk into a bedroom, you might first notice the color of the walls or the softness of the bedding. But if you were to ask a Feng Shui master where the true power of the room resides, the answer would be immediate: the position of the bed. Because in Feng Shui, the placement of your bed is more than a matter of style or symmetry, it's a matter of energetic command. The term used in classical Feng Shui is the command position, and it holds one of the most foundational truths about rest, safety, and power. Your body only fully relaxes when your subconscious feels that you are in control of the space, even when unconscious. You might not realize it, but the way your bed is positioned at night is silently shaping how deeply you sleep, how clearly you think in the morning, how stable your mood is throughout the day, and how receptive you are to abundance and opportunity. The command position is not a trend or aesthetic choice. It's an energetic principle that governs trust, grounding, and clarity. To sleep in the command position means your bed is placed diagonally across from the door, not directly in line with it, but positioned so that you can see the door without being aligned with its direct path. Your headboard should be backed by a solid wall, and there should be no windows behind your head. In simple terms, the command position ensures three things: visibility, stability, and containment. And these three principles correspond directly with what your nervous system is trying to achieve at night: security, predictability, and uninterrupted restoration. When you sleep with your headboard against a window, your subconscious senses exposure. When your bed is directly in line with the door, your body registers potential intrusion, even if only symbolically. And when your headboard floats in the middle of a room, unsupported by a solid wall, your mind may never fully settle because it doesn't know what's behind you. Your conscious mind may say, "It's fine," but your subconscious says, "Stay alert." The most misunderstood yet widely practiced bed placement in modern bedrooms is placing the foot of the bed directly aligned with the doorway. In Feng Shui, this is traditionally referred to as the Coffin Position. While the name might sound dramatic, the symbolism is intentional. In many ancient cultures, the dead were carried feet first through the door, and so to sleep in this position is thought to subtly invite energy of depletion, fatigue, and even spiritual vulnerability. More practically, being aligned with the door leaves you energetically exposed to incoming energy, movement, and noise, causing a part of your brain to remain on guard, which disrupts deep sleep cycles. You may fall asleep, but your rest may not be restorative. Let's talk now about the headboard. A solid headboard anchored against a sturdy wall symbolizes psychological support. When you lie down at night, the wall behind your head provides more than physical stability. It represents the presence of structure and security in your life. It tells your subconscious you're supported. In contrast, if your bed's head is against a window, even a beautiful one with thick curtains, the symbolism becomes one of exposure. In Feng Shui, windows are portals of qi movement. They are eyes to the outside world. Placing your head directly beneath one can make you feel energetically unanchored, especially during sleep. Your mind may wander more. Your dreams may be less restful, and you may feel less grounded upon waking. Now, you may be wondering, what happens if your space is small and placing your bed diagonally or away from the window simply isn't possible? This is where Feng Shui offers both flexibility and symbolism. The goal is not perfection, but energetic awareness. If your bed must be placed beneath a window, use thick, grounding curtains and perhaps even a fabric-covered headboard to mimic the presence of a solid wall. If your bed must face the door, introduce a low bench, trunk, or piece of furniture at the foot of the bed to energetically buffer that direct alignment. These small corrections, while subtle, can have profound effects on how safe and supported you feel. One of the most underestimated aspects of bed positioning is what happens above your head. In Feng Shui, heavy beams, ceiling fans, or large light fixtures placed directly over the bed, especially over the head or torso, are believed to create energetic pressure. Think of it as a psychological weight pressing down on your energy field. Even if you are unaware of it consciously, your body feels it. The result? You may sleep, but you wake up tired, burdened, or even anxious. If your bed lies beneath a ceiling beam, consider draping soft fabric from the ceiling to soften the downward pressure. This is not about making the room look like a tent. It's about disrupting the line of energy that falls too sharply and too heavily onto your resting space. Let's shift now from the theory to experience. Imagine two people. One sleeps with their head against a solid wall, diagonally across from the bedroom door. Their nightstand holds only what is necessary, perhaps a book, a calming stone, a small photo of someone they love. The space under their bed is clear. The colors of the bedding are soft and supportive. The lighting is warm, with no overhead weight. This person tends to fall asleep easily, wake up clear, and carry an unexplainable sense of calm throughout the day. Now imagine the second person. Their bed's foot points directly at the door. There's a mirror on the wall beside the bed that reflects them while they sleep. A beam runs over their chest. The headboard floats in the middle of the room. They may have the same mattress and sleep the same number of hours, but somehow they wake up feeling unanchored, drained, and rushed. Their dreams are vivid, their thoughts scattered. The difference is not their body, it's the energetic information their subconscious receives during rest. If this all feels new to you, you're not alone. Most people never consider the energetic language of their furniture, much less their bed, but your body is already fluent in it. You feel the difference between a room that welcomes you and a room that subtly keeps you tense. Your nervous system, your breath, your gut, they all respond before your mind catches up. That's why positioning your bed is not just about design. It's about reclaiming power. It's about placing yourself, even in sleep, in a position of awareness, choice, and influence. And in Feng Shui, where you place yourself in space is a direct metaphor for where you place yourself in life. Now let's look at some common modern configurations and how to gently adjust them. If your bed is in a corner where only one side is accessible, it can create a sense of imbalance, especially in relationships. It may energetically signal that only one person has access to support while the other is blocked. If possible, leave equal space on both sides of the bed, even if one side is narrow. Balance in space cultivates balance in relationships. If your room is so small that the bed must be placed against a wall on one side, consider using reflective surfaces, not mirrors facing the bed, but soft metals or gentle light, to create an illusion of spaciousness on the block side. Symbolism matters. If your bed is aligned under a sloped ceiling or attic eave, be aware that angled ceilings can direct pressure downward. Try using upward directed lighting to balance the visual and energetic pull. And if the ceiling slopes over the head of the bed, you may find that even your decision-making feels more uncertain. Feng Shui teaches us that the head should never feel oppressed by form. Height above the head is symbolic of clarity, thought leadership, and purpose. If this can't be changed structurally, consider painting the ceiling a lighter tone to visually lift the pressure. Ultimately, the question becomes simple. When you lie down at night, do you feel held, supported, safe? If the answer is anything short of yes, your bed placement deserves attention. Not for aesthetics, but for the sake of your well-being. Because the bed is not where your day ends, it's where your next one begins. And how you position your body during those hours of surrender determines what kind of energy you carry forward when you rise. So while the world may continue telling you that sleep is just about rest, Feng Shui teaches us it's about restoration. And restoration requires trust, not just in your mattress or bedtime routine, but in the space that surrounds you while you sleep. By choosing a bed position that supports your subconscious, you're making one of the most powerful declarations of all. Even in rest, I remain grounded. Even in stillness, I remain in command. Mirrors, the energy bouncers. Among all the elements inside a bedroom, few are as misunderstood and as energetically disruptive as mirrors. While modern interior design celebrates mirrors for their aesthetic utility, spatial expansion, and decorative flair, Feng Shui takes a fundamentally different stance. Mirrors are not neutral. They are active participants in the room's energy. They bounce, reflect, multiply, and scatter Qi, the life force energy that animates your space and your spirit. And when that energy has no direction, neither do you. When a mirror directly faces your bed, particularly when it reflects your sleeping body, the effect is rarely benign. In fact, it's often the source of restlessness, fatigue, and in some cases, low-level anxiety that you can't quite explain. While your conscious mind may no longer register its presence once the lights go out, your subconscious does not sleep. It stays awake, listening, processing, guarding. And when the mirror keeps reflecting back your body, your breath, your stillness, your movement, it sends constant signals to the brain that you are not alone, that you are being watched, that your sanctuary has been breached. Energetically, the mirror becomes an amplifier. What should be a quiet, inward retreat becomes a hall of echoes. In classical Feng Shui, the bedroom is considered a yin space, soft, restorative, feminine in its essence, designed for healing, intimacy, and sleep. Mirrors, on the other hand, carry yang energy. They activate, reflect, illuminate. They stir movement and scatter light. When you place a mirror in a yin space, especially in direct line with your bed, the contrast becomes jarring. Even when you're not consciously looking at it, your energy body responds. The subtle qi that surrounds your physical body during sleep, what some traditions call your etheric field, experiences interruption. Instead of settling, it keeps looping. Instead of grounding into the mattress, it bounces back and forth between your body and the glass. This is why so many people who sleep with mirrors facing them report difficulty in falling asleep. Frequent waking, vivid or disturbing dreams, and a general feeling of not being well rested upon waking. The mirror doesn't just reflect you, it reflects your energy back at you over and over again all night long. There is also a psychological component at play. Mirrors, by design, introduce the concept of observation. They imply presence, even when no one is there. Some people describe an eerie sensation at night, especially in dim rooms or those lit only by moonlight or digital glow. They feel as if something is watching them, even though they know the space is empty. This isn't a superstition. It's a biological response to the mirror's invitation for awareness. In psychology, the presence of one's reflection has been shown to activate self-monitoring circuits in the brain. Even when the mirror is passive, it pulls energy toward awareness. But the bedroom should not be a place for awareness. It should be a place for surrender. And this is where the mirror, while beautiful by day, becomes disruptive by night. Now let's look at an example from a more recognizable life. During her personal wellness and space reset phase, Kim Kardashian reportedly made major shifts in her bedroom after consulting a Feng Shui practitioner. One of the first recommendations? Remove the full-length mirror directly facing her bed. According to reports, she had been experiencing restless sleep for weeks, waking up often, feeling wired, yet unable to understand why. Her practitioner, trained in classical Feng Shui, immediately identified the mirror as a primary disruptor. It reflected her body in full while she slept, which meant her energy had no still point to settle into. The recommendation was simple: either remove the mirror or cover it completely at night. She chose to remove it, and within days she publicly commented that her sleep was finally uninterrupted. While skeptics might attribute that to placebo, those who understand energy know better. Her environment had stopped mirroring back her stillness, allowing her nervous system to enter deeper phases of sleep, undisturbed and unreflected. This principle applies whether you're a celebrity or someone quietly trying to reset your life from a modest bedroom. The energy does not discriminate. It only responds to alignment. If your space is reflecting back agitation, your life will mirror that state. And when your bedroom becomes a container for calm, that stillness will begin to echo through your thoughts, your interactions, and your decisions. So what do you do if your room requires a mirror? Perhaps it's built into the wardrobe. Perhaps the space is too small to relocate it. Feng Shui is not about rigidity. It's about adaptation. If your mirror cannot be removed, it should be covered during sleeping hours. Use a soft fabric, linen, cotton, or silk, and drape it with intention. You're not hiding the mirror, you're calming it. You're inviting the energy to rest. Think of it like dimming the lights. You're simply saying, this space is no longer a place for reflection. It's a place for restoration. Some modern wardrobes include sliding mirror doors. In this case, the best solution is to slide the doors closed or reverse them with a sliding curtain panel. If that's not possible, you can place a foldable screen in front of the mirror or a lightweight standing curtain frame that blends with your decor. The key is intentionality. Covering the mirror isn't just a physical act, it's an energetic message. It says, this space belongs to sleep. I belong to sleep. This is a space of stillness, and all motion, literal or symbolic, may pause here. Another overlooked detail is mirrored furniture. Dressers with mirrored surfaces, nightstands with reflective tops, or even decorative trays and mirrored headboards can all participate in the same energy disturbance. While smaller in scale, their cumulative effect adds up. If your room contains multiple reflective surfaces, assess where they face. If any reflect the bed, consider repositioning them or softening them with a cloth or object that disrupts the direct reflection. You're not redesigning your room, you're realigning it with your need to rest. It's worth mentioning that many hotels place mirrors in direct line with beds, and this may be one of the subtle reasons why people sleep poorly when traveling. Even if the bed is comfortable, even if the lighting is good, the mirror silently creates an energetic loop that the body must fight to override. You may not consciously feel disturbed, but your deep rest is compromised. This is why travelers who understand Feng Shui often bring a lightweight scarf or shawl to drape over the mirror during sleep. It's a small act that makes a significant difference in how deeply one rests and how refreshed one feels upon waking. In Feng Shui, sleep is sacred. It's the portal through which your body recovers, your mind rewires, and your spirit reconnects with Source. Anything that interrupts that cycle, no matter how subtle, diminishes your vitality. Mirrors are not inherently negative. In fact, they can be highly beneficial when placed correctly. They can expand light, double abundance symbols, and reflect beauty into a space. But the bedroom is not the place for that kind of activation. It's the place for containment. That's why mirror placement matters not just in terms of design, but in terms of respect, for your own energy field and for the deep recalibration that happens while you sleep. So if you're struggling with insomnia, anxiety, or a sense that your thoughts never fully quiet down, and you've tried all the usual solutions, meditation, supplements, sound machines, pause and ask yourself, is my bedroom reflecting more than I intend? Is my mirror silently pulling energy out of me when I most need it to be held within? And if the answer is yes, the solution may not be complicated. It may simply be a soft cloth, a shifted angle, a gentle gesture of protection that restores your space's original function, to help you rest without defense, to let you dissolve into stillness without being mirrored back into awareness. Because in the end, deep rest is not just a biological function, it is a spiritual right, and your bedroom should not be a gallery of reflections. It should be a sanctuary where the only thing that reflects is peace, Activate the wealth chi in your bedroom. When most people think of wealth, their mind drifts toward bank accounts, stock portfolios, career achievements, and external symbols of success. But in Feng Shui, wealth begins in the unseen, specifically in the flow of qi, or life force energy, within your environment. And surprisingly, one of the most powerful yet overlooked spaces for cultivating financial energy is not your office or your wallet, it's your bedroom. That's because your bedroom isn't just a place to rest. It's the energetic field where your body, mind, and subconscious intersect night after night. And as you sleep, your energetic system isn't idle. It's recalibrating, aligning, absorbing signals from your surroundings. So when your bedroom is arranged with intention, not just for sleep, but for prosperity, it begins to communicate something new to your subconscious. That wealth is not something you must chase outside of yourself, but something you allow to gather and take root in your field. In classical Feng Shui, each room has directional energy centers, and the southeast corner of your bedroom is considered the wealth corner, the place where the energy of abundance naturally accumulates. This is based on the traditional Bergamot map, which divides your space into 9 energetic zones, each representing a key area of life. To identify your southeast corner, stand in the center of your bedroom with a compass or compass-enabled smartphone. The point that lies in the direction of the southeast is your room's financial heart, whether you're aware of it or not. And like any heart, it needs to be protected, nourished, and kept clear to function well. The first rule of wealth activation is simple but crucial. Keep the southeast corner free of clutter. Clutter isn't just a visual distraction. It's energetic congestion. When the wealth corner is buried under old boxes, unused workout gear, tangled cords, or dirty laundry, it sends a message to the universe that you're not ready to receive. Energy cannot gather or grow in a place that is already full of stagnant matter. Every item you store there, especially if it's broken, dirty, or forgotten, acts as a block to the flow of abundance. This doesn't mean your room must be minimalist or sterile. It means the wealth corner must be curated. It must be intentional. The space should feel open, clean, and supportive of upward, expansive energy. Lighting plays a critical role here. Natural light is best, but if that's limited, soft, warm lighting can help maintain flow. Darkness breeds stagnation, and while darkness is valuable for rest, it is not ideal for cultivation. A well-lit wealth corner suggests openness, growth, and clarity, all essential energies for prosperity. Now let's talk about what to place in this space once it's been cleared. First, consider introducing a citrine crystal. Citrine is known across metaphysical traditions as the gemstone of joy, mental clarity, and financial growth. Its warm golden hue vibrates with solar energy, uplifting, energizing, and expansive. Unlike other crystals that absorb negative energy and need to be cleansed often, citrine is believed to transmute energy, meaning it converts stagnation into movement, scarcity into flow. Place it on a low shelf or small altar in your southeast corner, ideally paired with a written affirmation or intention. Something as simple as, "Abundance flows easily and supports my highest good," can anchor the energy and serve as a subtle message to your subconscious every time you glance toward it. In addition to citrine, a healthy money plant, such as pothos or a jade plant, can serve as a living anchor for wealth energy. Plants, unlike static objects, grow, they breathe, they shift in response to care, light, and attention. This mirrors the relationship many people have with money. When you nurture it with attention and consistency, it grows. When neglected, it withers. When overcomplicated, it becomes tangled. Choosing a plant with soft, rounded leaves rather than sharp, spiky foliage encourages a gentler, more stable energy flow. And always the plant should be healthy, no yellowing leaves, no dry soil, no signs of decay. A dying plant in the wealth corner is more harmful than no plant at all. It signals decline rather than expansion. Gold-colored decor can also be introduced, but not as a gimmick. In the 5-element cycle of Feng Shui, the metal element supports water, which is symbolically tied to wealth. Gold, as a metal representation, becomes a nourishing force when placed intentionally in the wealth sector. This could be as subtle as a gold-framed photo, a small dish for coins or jewelry, or a metallic candle holder. The idea is not to overwhelm the space with opulence, but to gently anchor the frequency of wealth with beauty and refinement. Gold energy, when used respectfully, radiates elegance and magnetism. It says, "I am not desperate for wealth, I embody it." What you must absolutely avoid in this sacred corner, however, cannot be overstated. Do not place trash bins, laundry baskets, broken electronics, or anything symbolic of decay, disorder, or dysfunction in the southeast zone. These items anchor a vibration of neglect and chaos and can silently sabotage your financial momentum. Dead batteries, cracked chargers, tangled cords, or anything electronic that no longer functions acts as a drain, both symbolically and energetically. Likewise, storage of outdated financial paperwork, unpaid bills, or documents tied to past debt can stagnate your ability to move forward. Feng Shui teaches that we are always in communication with our environment, even when we're not paying attention. So if you place broken things in your wealth corner, the message is, this is where my financial energy goes, to die. Now here's the deeper layer, one that modern neuroscience supports. When your wealth corner is curated with care, your subconscious registers it, even while you sleep. The southeast corner continues to emit energy while your conscious mind is at rest. So if you fall asleep facing this corner, or if it's within your field of vision, your brain processes the cues within that space just as it does during waking hours. This is not magical thinking, it's perceptual science. The objects you surround yourself with imprint your psyche, and your psyche drives your decisions. So by reinforcing abundance cues while you sleep, you begin to subtly shift how you make choices, what you notice, and how confidently you step into opportunities. You're not just programming your space, you're programming your brain. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't do it once and expect your health to change forever. It's a small, consistent act that compounds over time. Activating your wealth chi is similar. A few mindful objects placed with sincerity, intended with regular care, are far more powerful than elaborate rituals performed once and forgotten. This is about relationship between you and your space, between your energy and your environment, between your inner narrative about money and the external signals that support or contradict it. This is why wealth activation in the bedroom is not frivolous. It's fundamental. When your bedroom supports your financial energy, you begin to dissolve the old belief that wealth must come only through strain or struggle. Instead, you begin to experience a new truth, that prosperity can rise from stillness, that abundance is a vibration, and that receiving is not a reward, but a readiness. So tonight, before you turn out the lights, take a quiet moment to sit in the southeast corner of your bedroom. Even if it's only big enough for a single plant or candle, treat it as a temple. Ask yourself, is this corner honoring the version of me that is ready to receive? Is this corner reflecting the clarity, vitality, and stability I wish to bring into my finances? If not, start small. Clear it, light it, breathe into it, give it attention, and then let the energy settle. Not with expectation, but with trust. Because when your wealth chi flows at night, you don't just sleep, You recalibrate your relationship with abundance at the deepest level possible, your subconscious. And when that shift occurs, your external reality follows. Not all at once, but without resistance. Scent and energy cleansing. Natural reset. We often treat our bedrooms as visual spaces, decorated, styled, and arranged with what our eyes can see. But in truth, some of the most powerful shifts in energy come from what we can't see, from the qualities that enter through the nose, travel into the brain, and settle in the body long before we fall asleep. Scent is one of the most immediate ways to influence our inner world. It bypasses logic. It doesn't ask for permission. One breath and you're transported, calmed, stirred, awakened, or soothed, depending on what you inhale. That's because the olfactory system is directly connected to the limbic brain, the seat of memory, mood, instinct, and subconscious behavior. When you breathe in a scent, you're not just filling your room with fragrance. You're opening a direct portal to your emotional wiring. And this is where the power of scent in Feng Shui becomes undeniable. Not as decoration, but as vibration. In energy work, scent is considered a frequency, a subtle yet potent tool for clearing, shifting, and programming a space. Especially when chi has grown stagnant, when energy in your bedroom feels heavy, dull, or overly dense. The fastest way to clear it isn't always to move the furniture or open a window. Sometimes it's to change the air itself. Essential oils are not merely pleasant aromas. They are distilled plant spirits, concentrated messengers of nature that each carry unique signatures. In Feng Shui-informed space clearing, essential oils can act as energetic reset buttons, reintroducing purity, lightness, and clarity into rooms burdened by emotional residue, stress accumulation, or daily energetic fatigue. The right scent doesn't just mask the atmosphere, it transforms it. Lavender is among the most widely known oils, and for good reason. Its scent is soft but not weak, floral but not overpowering. Energetically, lavender speaks the language of the nervous system. It whispers to the vagus nerve, downregulates the fight-or-flight response, and gently nudges the mind towards surrender. In Feng Shui, lavender is associated with dream clarity, emotional ease, and the gentle release of tension stored in the muscles and mind. Its presence in the bedroom is akin to a lullaby for the spirit. Just a few drops in a diffuser or mist bottle can create a noticeable drop in mental static. And because lavender supports both the physical process of winding down and the energetic principle of softness, it's an ideal oil to introduce 30 minutes before sleep, when the day's residue is still clinging, but the body is beginning to loosen its grip. Sandalwood, on the other hand, brings a different tone. Deep, rich, and grounding, sandalwood is not about sedation, it's about anchoring. Where lavender invites you to float, sandalwood invites you to root. Its woody notes are linked to spiritual protection, sacred presence, and energetic containment. In Buddhist rituals, sandalwood has long been used to steady the mind during meditation, to cleanse the subtle body of erratic or scattered thoughts, and to establish a quiet authority within the space. Energetically, it works on the lower chakras, supporting grounding, safety, and stillness. Using sandalwood in the bedroom does not lull you to sleep as quickly as lavender might, but it creates a deeper sense of inner solidity. It tells the subconscious, you are safe to be here. You do not need to drift away in thought. You may rest in this body, in this space, in this breath. Diffused slowly or blended into a mist, sandalwood establishes a field of quiet gravity that holds space without force. Citrus oils, such as sweet orange, charm, bergamot, and grapefruit, bring a very different energetic signature. These oils are associated with uplift, joy, clarity, and the clearing of energetic residue. While they may seem too stimulating for sleep at first glance, their real value lies in emotional clearing. When you've had a difficult day or your bedroom feels heavy from conversations, anxiety, or tension, a light citrus mist can reset the emotional atmosphere. Think of it as opening a window inside your own mind. Citrus oils cut through energetic fog, remove emotional residue left behind from old thoughts or interactions, and restore light to spaces that have grown dim from psychic weight. Grapefruit in particular has been linked to energy renewal, helping to release self-judgment and mental stagnation. Bergamot carries a mood-balancing effect. Affect, often recommended for those who struggle with low mood or fatigue. Used lightly, especially when blended with grounding oils like cedarwood or pechuholo, citrus can elevate without overstimulating, cleanse without stripping, and refresh without overwhelming. It's best used during early evening rituals when the intention is to shift from mental busyness into emotional openness, preparing the body for deeper rest later in the night. Frankincense, long revered in spiritual traditions around the world, offers something unique in the energetic cleansing process. Known for its ability to calm the breath, center the mind, and open the spiritual field, frankincense is often referred to as the oil of truth. In Feng Shui-based energy clearing, frankincense is used to raise the frequency of a space, moving it out of heavy vibration and into sacred clarity. It's not just for prayer or meditation, it's for purification. A space that holds too much noise, be it mental chatter, emotional turmoil, or unconscious stress, benefits deeply from the presence of frankincense. Its resinous, balsamic aroma clears the aura, helps sever energetic cords, and acts as a spiritual disinfectant, neutralizing leftover tension. For those who use the bedroom not only for rest, but for introspection, meditation, or subtle practices like lucid dreaming, frankincense is a vital ally. Diffused gently in the background, it aligns the space with reverence, stillness, and the presence of the sacred. And because it supports breath depth, it also synergizes well with nighttime breathwork techniques, amplifying their impact on the nervous system. Now let's talk about Applicent, because intention without method is just fragrance. There are three primary ways to work with these oils in the context of energy clearing. First, diffusing. A diffuser with a timer set 30 minutes before bed allows the oils to condition the room while you're still awake. It signals the transition from activity to rest. This approach is ideal for oils like lavender and frankincense, where slow inhalation enhances their grounding properties. Second, misting. Blending a few drops of essential oil with distilled water in a glass spray bottle allows you to mist the bedding, pillows, and curtains. This method is ideal for citrus blends, which activate and uplift the space without becoming too heavy in the air. When combined with a simple affirmation or a spoken intention such as, "This space is cleared, my body is safe, my rest is sacred," the mist becomes a medium of energetic reset. And finally, breathwork. The 4-7-8 breathing method, inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8, is a proven way to regulate the nervous system and bring the body into parasympathetic mode. When done in a room scented with essential oils, especially sandalwood or frankincense, the effect is magnified. You're not just breathing more slowly, you're breathing in support. You're inhaling frequencies that tell your brain and body to let go, to quiet the storm, to settle. The deeper lesson here is that scent is not an accessory, it's an agent. It moves energy, it shapes perception. It speaks in frequencies your body understands. When chosen with awareness and applied with care, essential oils can shift your space from simply smelling nice to energetically nurturing. And in a world where so much of our sleep is compromised, not by noise but by invisible tension, this is no small offering. Because sometimes what keeps you awake isn't a thought or sound. It's the unspoken feeling in the room, the weight of what was said hours ago, the clutter you didn't notice, the grief lingering from something unresolved, the echo of a worry you told yourself not to think about. These things don't leave on their own, but scent can escort them out, gently, quietly, completely. And when that happens, when your space is cleared not just physically but energetically, you begin to sleep not only more deeply, but more peacefully. You don't just wake up rested, you wake up restored, which is exactly what your bedroom should do, and exactly what scent, when used with mindfulness, was always meant to support. Energy blockers to remove immediately. Your bedroom speaks even when you're silent. It carries an energy signature that radiates out to the world and back into your own subconscious, whether you realize it or not. Every object in your room, every shadowy corner, every pile of things you've meant to sort through, it all sends signals. And those signals are not just received by your eyes. They are registered by your nervous system, processed by your emotional field, and echoed in the quality of your sleep, your clarity of mind, and the flow of life you experience. In Feng Shui, one of the greatest misunderstandings is that change comes only from what you add. But true energetic alignment often begins with what you remove. Because before you can receive clearly, you must stop broadcasting noise. Before energy can flow, it must be unblocked. And some of the most potent energy blocks are hiding in plain sight, quietly distorting your field and sending mixed messages to the universe about what you're actually ready to allow in. Let's begin with one of the most commonly overlooked culprits: clutter under the bed. Most people store things here without thinking: extra bedding, off-season clothes, unused electronics, sentimental boxes, old paperwork, forgotten items they rarely if ever touch. It seems logical. It's hidden, right? But in Feng Shui, what lies beneath you as you sleep deeply influences your subconscious state. The bed is not just furniture, it's your energetic cradle, the foundation of your rejuvenation. When that foundation is physically blocked, so is your emotional release and energetic processing. Qi, your life force, cannot circulate freely when it has to navigate around cardboard boxes and plastic bins filled with things you're avoiding. What's under your bed, symbolically and energetically, supports or suppresses your sleep. And while you may not consciously think about what's stored there, your body knows. You may feel heavier, slower to wake. Your dreams may grow more anxious. Decisions take longer. Sleep is shallower. Feng Shui teaches that the space beneath your bed should be clear because sleep is a time of reset, and nothing should anchor your consciousness backward. Even sacred objects or mementos stored here carry emotional residue. If it is absolutely necessary to use that space, limit storage to light, soft items, linens, or well-contained seasonal clothing in neutral-toned fabric boxes. But to know this, even the most perfectly folded sheets will still slow energy compared to empty air. Space is a statement of readiness. And when you allow space beneath your bed, you are telling the universe and yourself, I am ready to let go. I am ready to receive. The second major blocker is perhaps the most modern: electronics near the pillow. Smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, even wireless headphones. These have become so integrated into our nightly rituals that most people no longer question their presence. But their effect on energetic harmony is profound. From a Feng Shui perspective, the bedroom should be a haven of yin energy, soft, still, restoring. Electronic devices, by their very nature, emit yang energy, charged, stimulating, disruptive. They emit EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, that may not be seen or felt consciously, but are detectable by your body. Scientific studies increasingly point to the impact of EMFs on sleep quality, melatonin levels, and circadian rhythm regulation. But beyond the biological, there's an energetic truth here. Electronics by the pillow confuse your energy field. They carry the signatures of conversations, news cycles, unfinished to-do lists, emotional messages, and social comparison. Even when silent, they hum with digital residue. The result? Fragmented rest, heightened mental noise, subconscious processing of things that do not belong in your dream space. Your mind may think you've put the phone down, but your energy field continues scrolling. And this constant low-level disruption weakens your aura, drains your clarity, and interrupts the integration that sleep is meant to provide. To restore harmony, relocate all electronics away from the headboard. Use an old-fashioned alarm clock if needed. Charge devices across the room or in a different one entirely. And if you must keep something nearby, place a grounding crystal, such as black tourmaline, between it and your body. This is not fear. It's energetic hygiene. You deserve to sleep in a field that's clean, quiet, and uninterrupted. Next comes a more symbolic, but no less potent energy blocker: dried or dead flowers. While they may be considered beautiful or decorative by Western aesthetic standards, Feng Shui views them as symbols of stagnation and decay. Flowers, when fresh, carry vibrant life force, color, growth, fragrance, and expansion. They represent the bloom of possibilities, the openness of heart, the good of being present. But once they have dried, that life force ceases. What remains is memory of beauty past, of life that was. And in a bedroom where vitality and renewal are essential, such symbolism matters deeply. To keep dried flowers on display is to hold on to something that no longer lives. It invites the frequency of nostalgia, grief, and energetic stasis. You may not think it's affecting you, but everything in your field is either nourishing or depleting you. And while a single dry bouquet may seem harmless, when paired with other subtle energy drains, it contributes to an overall field of quiet fatigue. Replace dried flowers with a single fresh bloom, or better yet, a living plant. Or choose symbolic objects that evoke continuity: a small fountain for flow, a crystal for still clarity, a wood carving for grounded growth. Let every item in your room say, "Life continues. I continue." Finally, let's address one of the most underestimated sources of energy chaos: open storage. Bookshelves crammed with unread volumes, dressers with open drawers, baskets overflowing with things unprocessed. Even exposed clothing racks can create a visual field that the brain interprets as unfinished. And the bedroom, more than any other room in the home, should communicate finality, not in the sense of ending, but in the sense of pause. In psychology, visual clutter has been shown to increase cortisol, the stress hormone. Your mind, even while at rest, processes the environment around it. So every item in sight becomes a task, a question, a signal. Read me, fold me, clean me, fix me, return me, deal with me. And while you may say to yourself, "I'll get to it tomorrow," your subconscious is already at work, already spending energy on what is undone. The solution is not necessarily to throw everything away, but to contain what must remain. Use closed storage whenever possible. Baskets with lids, boxes that slide under furniture, curtains over open shelves. Even a simple draped cloth can shift the energy from chaos to containment. When the room is calm, your energy is calm. When your energy is calm, your dreams deepen. When your dreams deepen, your intuition sharpens. And when intuition sharpens, life begins to flow with far less resistance. Feng Shui does not demand perfection. It asks for resonance. It invites you to look at your space and ask, does this support the energy I want to live with? Does this item, this placement, this habit contribute to peace or confusion, to abundance or delay, to rest or unrest? And nowhere is this more important than in your bedroom, the one place in your life where your conscious defenses are fully down. If you do not protect your bedroom from energetic noise, your energy system has no opportunity to fully restore. It continues laboring, even in sleep. So start with what's simple. Clear under your bed, move your phone away, let go of what's no longer alive. Close what's open, hide what's overwhelming. Let your room become a cocoon, not a command center. Let it reflect stillness, not stimulation. Let it echo peace, not projection. Because the truth is, your room already communicates your beliefs about rest, about worth, about readiness to receive. And when you remove what contradicts your highest intention, life rushes in to support what remains. This is how space becomes strategy. This is how rest becomes revelation. Final. Your bedroom is not just where your day ends. It's where your future quietly begins. Long before the sun rises, before your conscious thoughts return, your energy is already rehearsing the life you're stepping into. And while your body rests, your spirit is listening. Listening to the messages your space sends. Listening to the quality of light, the placement of objects, the whispers of clarity or chaos that surround you. In Feng Shui, we understand that energy never truly sleeps, but it does respond. It recalibrates, it softens. And when you give it the right conditions, when you create a bedroom that supports stillness, protection, clarity, and gentle abundance, it begins to work for you. Silently, steadily, without resistance. Tonight, take a moment not just to tidy up or fluff your pillows, but to honor your space, to say with presence and intention, I clear the old, I welcome peace. I sleep as the wealth I want to attract. Not someday, not after everything is perfect, but now with what you have, in the room that holds you every night. Because abundance is not something you chase, it's something you allow. And it begins in the quiet, in the unseen, in the way you treat your environment when no one is watching. So I leave you with this soft invitation. What's the first Feng Shui shift you're ready to make in your bedroom? Is it the mirror you've long meant to cover? The clutter you'll finally clear from under your bed? Or maybe it's just placing a small crystal where wealth can gather overnight. Whatever it is, I'd love to hear about it. Share your intention in the comments below, and let this be the start of your realignment, not just of your room, but of your energy. And if this video has offered you a moment of insight, calm, or possibility, if it reminded you that your space matters and that you deserve to feel supported by it, then I gently invite you to support this journey. Please consider liking this video, sharing it with someone who might need it tonight, and subscribing to New Day Mindfulness. We are close to reaching our first 2,000 followers, and every voice, every story, every comment brings this community of mindful living closer together. Thank you for letting me share this space with you. Sleep gently, dream boldly, and let your room become the sanctuary your spirit has always deserved.